Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful evening with Live with Lloyd. I am your host, astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn. On this Monday, the 9th of October, 9 days in, a couple of months left. It's amazing how time is flying forward. 2023. All right, let's say, okay, everybody. First of all, thank you as always. Today, my topic is going to be about children. I'll explain why, but I'll explain that in a moment. But first, let me tell you about the forecast. Please, this is where the joy of numerology is the joy of learning and enlightenment. So please like, share, and subscribe. I will never DM you for money or with a message or anything like that. But this is a Monday, the 9th of October. The sun is in Libra. The moon is in Leo. It's a 8 universal month, a 1 universal week, an 8 universal day. Excuse me. So those under Capricorn, Aquarius, Libra, Aries, and Scorpio, or if you're born on the 8th to the 9th, the 17th and 18th, the 26th, or the 27th, this is your day. And I also want to let you know that this week's edition of um, Live with Lloyd show is being sponsored by none other than my beautiful brother King Simon with his masterclass. His masterclass is dirt cheap. I'm telling you, you have no excuse not to sign up for his class. In fact, today, and I'm told Wednesday, you will get a discount. So just go to the bottom of the uh, information right there, Linktree slash King Simon the Numero Veda, and sign up. You will get a discount. I mean, for what you're going to be learning, there is no excuse. But anyway, once you go there, you'll see the price for yourself. It's amazingly inexpensive for the wealth of knowledge that this man is going to impart on you. I need to thank my moderator, Jazz Aphrodite, that makes my life easy. And she don't play. Okay. Um, but that's how she rolls. And by the way, please, I know some of you try to get your birthday in here, birthday in there, but I've instructed her and Empress Rel on my Wednesday moderator to, if not, please, to just kind of block it. All right. Because so many people are trying to get in. But let me explain why I'm going to talk about children. I was with my brother this weekend. We went out of town to see his son. His son has two girls. One is 3, one is 1. They're the most beautiful, beautiful little ladies on the planet. And it made me think about children. Now, we are adults, but don't forget we were once children. Okay. So the things that we do has a tremendous effect on children. I noticed when I would read biographies of outstanding men and women that almost always something that shaped their direction happened in their childhood. There is something about that. So for those of you who have blessed to have parents that are still living, ask them, what kind of child was I? To give you an example, I'll just point out with me, for example, I'm a very private person. Very few people are invited to my home unless it's Amazon, FedEx, United Parcels. That's about it. Um, but I remember my mother telling me that when I was in elementary school, I would bring my friends home and go play by myself. Now, if I did that as an adult and bring friends home and then I just go wander off and don't come back out, that would be considered rude. But the beauty about children, they don't know these things yet. And so it's what we do. And one more other thing too. It's I remember when my mother would smoke. She would smoke a certain brand of cigarettes and she would tell us, don't smoke. Would you like to know what I did as a kid? I started smoking and the brand. I haven't smoked in literally decades. But the point is this, what they see us do as adults will affect their behaviors when they have their turn to become adults. So this is very, very important that you live by example. You cannot tell them to don't smoke and you're smoking. You can't tell them to not drink and you're drinking, or whatever your indulgences are that you don't want them to do, because children will mimic what you do. I'm sure that some of you as children probably thought it was a cute idea to get into your, like the ladies get into the mother's uh, shoes and put on the dress and hat. They be looking all cute with the adult clothes hanging all off of them from kids. Yes, we do that. So it's very, very important we set the tone about what we do or don't do in front of our babies, because they will become adults. They will mimic you, and they will also throw back in your face the things you told them not to do that in fact you are doing yourself. So this is very important. So I'm going to talk about all the children from 1 to 9 and the zodiac sign. So have a pen and paper, take some notes. And it's taken from my book, Numbers in You. I have a section here on children. Also, my Star 8 app also has a section on children. It's under your personal file. It's the icon at the very far end to the right. You click on that, you go down to the bottom, you see your parenting skills. And I think I'm going to talk about parents too. But right now, this is for children. So here we go. If you have a child that's born on the 1st, the 10th, the 19th, or the 28th, or under the sign of Leo, or in the minor way Aquarius, these are what I call the leaders in the group. They're the ones that like to strike out early. They like to win. They like to take charge. They are the kind of children that normally are very frank and blunt. And also, with number one children, if nothing else, you should get them to learn how to make decisions. Normally, leaders are good at making decisions. A lot of times, when we don't make a decision, technically, we made a decision, which is to do nothing. Okay. So with number one children, you should teach them. So if they're small, like, what kind of clothes you want to wear. It's not that you're going to let them do that, but you want to see how they're thinking. So when they become an adult, making decisions become easy for them. Health wise, they normally have some concerns with the eyes. With the girls, it tends to be on the left side of the eye. With the boys, it tends to be on the right side. Children with number ones will sometimes suffer with heart palpitations, irregular blood circulations. As adults, the lower back. Now, this is not all of these. This is not all locked in stone, but I'm saying these are the general tendencies that tend to run through the personalities of children, and even health concerns as well, too. All righty. Number one children wind up being lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, heads of departments, presidents, executives, managers, supervisors, things of that nature. And their best friends tend to come out of the months of February, April, August, or they are born somewhere on a date that adds to the single digit of the 1, the 2, the 4, or the 9. Number two children, okay? If you have a child born on the 2nd, the 11th, the 20th, or the 29th of the month, or if they're under the sign of Cancer, they, I call, I have a thing where I call them the crybaby in the group. It's not that they're crybabies. It's just that number two children tend to be super sensitive. They're the one that's always up on you. They always want to hug you. You know what I'm saying? Mommy don't want to be hugged because she's tired of dad or whatever, but they like to hug. And this is why I tell even adult people who are twos, that especially the women, you need a hug twice a day. And quiet as it kept, men need hug and affections too. So do the boys. So what happens is, because they are super sensitive, they're compassionate, they're very loving, they're caring, they're very picky about their eating habits, their dietary laws. They just don't eat anything. Health wise, children under number twos will suffer with, especially as infants, with colic or things connected with the stomach and things of that nature. They also will tend to have some problems with the stomach in some way. The little girls, when they start maturing, may have little sensitivities or challenges with their monthly cycles. Okay. These would be some of the things that they may have. But number two children wind up going to be artists and painters and designers and statisticians and mathematicians and IT persons, the counselors, social workers, healers, psychics, things of that nature. And their best friends normally come out of the months of March, May, July, and October as a general rule, or a date that adds up to the 1, the 4, the 7, and the 6. Okay. Now, Number three children. Number three children are those born on the 3rd, the 12th, the 21st, or the 30th of the month, or perhaps if they're under the signs of Pisces or Sagittarius. Three children always got a smile on their face. They love to smile. That's one thing. They're known for their quick smile. They're known to be very cheerful, very expressive, very creative, very imaginative, very talkative. I always tell a parent, you got a number three child, and all of a sudden you don't hear them talking. That's because they're probably marking up the walls or doing something they're supposed to be doing. Okay. But they are very friendly. They are popular. They will sometimes know people you don't know, and you the adults. Okay, so expect that out of number three children. Encourage them to be positive, encourage them to be constructive, and encourage them to be the best that they can possibly be, because the one thing about a three child, as well as turning into a three adult, if you're challenged about they can't do this and that, they will rise to the occasion and prove the exceptions. As a health indicator, three children get cold very easily. Uh, they tend to, especially when they're coming into their adolescence and preteens and pre-puberty things, they tend to have sensitive skin. They suffer with panic attacks or anxiety episodes at times, and sometimes some concerns with the hip, the thighs, and the feet. This is all not gospel, but this is the general tendencies of number threes, number twos, number one children, and things like that. Their best months are always in March, May, excuse me, October and December, or people or their friends or associates will be born on a date that adds up to the 3, the 6, or the 9. Number four children. Well, if your child is born on the 4th, the 13th, the 22nd, or the 31st of the month, or if they come under the sign of Aquarius and a minor way Leo, they are the ones who would be considered strange or weird or aloof or detached or things of that nature. While everybody's out playing, they'll be in a home house doing something. They tend to work well with their hands. They tend to want to kind of just be alone. And in fact, they would appear to be standoffish, somewhat like sevens that I'll get to in a moment. But they're not. They just have a way of how they think. I call four children. I tell the parents of a four child that normally they're geniuses. They just don't. In fact, if you took your four child and gave them an IQ test, they would wind up being brighter than most people give them credit for. So the children, four children, are normally moody. They like to be their own best company. While everybody's out hanging out, they like to be indoors. Now, there are always exceptions to the rule, and I will make that point later on at the end of this. And so that's what they tend to do. Children who are number fours tend to be health wise. Oh, I forgot number three children too. In terms of they wind up being writers, entertainers, they wind up doing well in the pharmaceutical industry. Those are the children. So I forgot to mention some of their career choices with that. But back to number fours. Okay. So they tend to be misdiagnosed by the medical profession. They tend to go through episodes of mood swings. So they should always be encouraged to be positive, or put around a positive environment with positive friends and people who are uplifting, inspirational, motivational. These are the kinds of things that four children should have, since sometimes they will go into moods, deep mood swings, moods of depression, or things of that nature. So keep it bright. And in fact, it's four children that shouldn't watch too much television too. Okay. I'm saying because of the nature of how the media is doing things. With a four child, they should try to focus on some other things more than just TV and whatnot. That's just my opinion. Looking at how things are going, they tend to make inventors. They tend to do well in TV and radio, the mechanical, mathematical sciences, technology. They tend to be tech persons, mathematicians, things of that nature. They tend to, anything where a four child can think outside the box is where they find their source of happiness too. Their friends and associates are normally in February, June, July, and August, and in a minor way, those born on the 2nd, the 1st, the 2nd, the 7th, and the number 5. Okay, as a single digit in the birthday. Number 5 children. Those, if you have a child that's born on the 5th, the 14th, the 23rd of the month, well, Normally, number 5 children are the first to walk. They'll say, honey, you was trying to walk at 9 months old or 10 months old or something. So not only are they fast learners and talkers and whatnot, but they also learn how to kind of walk before most children are, of all the numbers from 1 to 9. Okay. 5 children are normally quick, impulsive. So one of the best things to do is begin to rein that in, where they begin to, we say, look before they leap, as against just do things impulsively and pay a price for it later. 5 children need to learn how to work under stress and be patient, because one of the things about 5s, they are not only quick in thought and action, but sometimes they will not think about something and just jump into something quickly. So you get them to kind of slow it down, things of that nature. And but they do well. They are the most diversified children in terms of career, but health wise, overstrain of the nerves, mental exhaustion, quick temperedness, dizziness, vertigo, fear of heights, things of that nature. And they tend to do well in terms of being in business, science, commerce, communications, writers, TV personalities, things of that nature. They are one of the most multifaceted, multi-talented, most multi-diverse set of children there is. So you might ask the 5 child, what do you want to be? They say, I don't know. It's not that they don't know. They want to jump out of a plane. They want to ride a motorcycle. They want to do something that, is kind of exciting, especially if they can always be in a state of movement. Okay. Number 6 children. If your child is born on the 6th, the 15th, or the 24th, or under the sign of Libra or Taurus, well, normally these children are what I call the crowd pleasers in the group. They're normally very good looking children. One of my one of my brother's granddaughters, she is the most sweetest thing. She was number 6, born on the 15th. Just charming smile. I mean, and in fact, when we went out shopping in this supermarket, they call her the mayor of the supermarket, because she's always saying hi, and she's just 3 years old. But that's the nature of 6s. They have that magnetic type of personality that no matter where, they just meet people. They're athletically inclined, and 6 children should be taught a strong sense of duty and responsibilities and obligations. That talk is cheap. Okay. You can show me better than tell me would be the philosophy that would be doing for these children. You go to their schools, they'll normally tell you they're the crowd pleasers or the teacher's pet. They never have a problem with 6 children. Okay. That's weird. Okay. Sorry about that. That's straight out the blue. Anyway, so that's with number 6 children. Health wise, they tend to have allergies, the nose, the throat, the upper part of the lungs, the respiratory system. The best medicine for children are being put in sunlight, some fresh air, and let them, because 6's children are normally athletically inclined anyway, to let them run and rip and run and exercise and do whatever they got to do. They're naturally athletic to a degree. And some of the famous sports figures are number 6's, but we ain't gonna go into that because there are too many to name. But the point is, those would be some of the things that they have: allergies, hay fever, heart palpitations, sometimes heart murmurs, heart palpitations, and things like that. They tend to do better with those who are born in the months of March and May, October and December, or come under a date such that adds up to the 3, the 6, or the 9. Now, number 7 children. If your child is born on the 7th, the 16th, or the 25th of the month, or coming under the signs of Pisces, and in a minor way, Cancer, 7 children are normally the kind of children that, like 4s, like to be their own best company. They like to be reserved. So I tell a parent, if you're going to punish a 4 child, send them to bed with a 7 child, send them to bed with a book. Because 7 children like to read, they like to study, they're very studious as a rule. They like to go down the rabbit hole. They like to ask you questions. So you can't say to a 7 child, well, honey, God made the world, because they might say, well, mommy, who made God? I mean, they come at you like that. So you got to be ready. All right. The 7 children are normally very philosophical, and they have a strongly marked individuality, and they're very picky about this, picky about that, picky about their foods, and picky about the friends and associates that they have. I noticed in my experience that number 7 girls are often in the group because when they start growing up and that peer pressure, the girls will often think they're snooty or stuck up or who do you think you are? And it's not that at all. But 7 children are normally reserved. They're very laid back. But again, they have a strongly marked individuality. Okay. And they can be very sarcastic too if you catch them on a bad day. So health wise, they tend to worry, sensitive stomach, and very picky and selective about what they eat, where they eat, and we even maybe smell their food. And if the food don't look good or don't smell right to them, they're not eating. Now, y'all can be chowing down all you want to, but they're not down with none of that. Okay. So that's it. And worry. So to try to encourage them to be more positive and whatnot. Where sevens get this word from, I don't imagine, but sometimes they can imagine with an overactive imagination that things are worse than they really are. And then when they get to that point of that objective or point of worry, they'll find it was no big deal at all. All right. Their best friends tend to come out of the months of March, February, July, August. Yeah, February, March, July, and August. Those would be good months for them. Or they will be associated with people born on dates that add to the single digit of a 2, a 4, a 7, or a 1. All righty. Number 8 children. Well, if your child is born on the 8th, the 17th, or the 26th of the month, or if they're under the sign of Capricorn or Aquarius, they are the children that's the old soul. These children are old, okay? You know how you hear the elders say, yeah, they was born with a veil over their face. You know what I'm saying? Um, they'll the mother or the parents will leave the 8th child with one of the relatives, and they come on and they say, who you been talking to? Grandma, because they're very philosophical. Let's say a number 8 child is the youngest of the children in the group. And the mother or the fathers kind of give them direction. Those 8 children will say, what mommy's saying. I mean, almost embarrassing. They the youngest too. But yet they've got wisdom beyond their biological age. So these are the old soul children. This is why they're very mature and they're very focused. They're very intense. All righty. And so these are the children, I should say, who only as they get older, life gets better. So it's about teaching them duty, responsibilities, obligations in a way, and encourage them to be entrepreneurs, because this is what they wind up doing. They do well in areas connected with banking, real estate, law, working for the government, executives, CEOs, CFOs, things of that nature. And also they do well, believe it or not, in music, all depending on what zodiac sign they're born in, for example. All righty. So there's a lot to this, but this is just the number thing. But there's so many variations that I'm going to point out in a moment. All right. So that is number 8. And by the way, their best friends are always in January, February, July, and in a minor way, October, or a person whose date adds up to the 3 or the 6. And sometimes they will attract the 4. But that's a kind of odd 4-8 relationship from time to time, too. Maybe I'll discuss that at another point. And number 9 children. Okay. If your child is born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th of the month, or under the sign of Aries or Scorpio, they are the fighters of the group. They're the ones, they fight. They will fight. It all depends on the headline of the child, especially if it's going inside the line of life, little things like that. They will maybe add that extra temper, but they normally have a lot of courage and a lot of confidence. And number 9 children, they like to just be in control of themselves and whatnot. They're feisty. So if you got a child where the school got to call you to come because they done beat up some boy in the schoolyard talking about you, the mom that is, more than likely you probably got a number 9 child or Aries or Scorpio on your hands, because they will pug it out. They do not take orders well. So therefore, they need to learn early that as they mature, things get better for them. And if they do it right, they wind up becoming universal, global, international in their status and things of that nature in terms of recognition and whatever the case may be. Someday I might point out some of these personalities with these numbers, because under my chapter books, Numerology and Money, I've got all the million and multimillionaires and billionaires under each of the numbers. So you can't say, well, I don't have this number, so I can't be. No, there is not one number that cannot achieve the status of a millionaire or a billionaire that I prove in my book, Numbers and You. So anyway, health-wise, 9 children, when they're young, fevers and high temperatures. injuries, nicks, cuts, burns, bruises, breaks, fender benders, things like that. All right. Because of their impulsive and fiery nature, this is what happens. But they wind up doing well in careers in the military, construction, law enforcement, lawyers, international figures, heads of universal movements and things of that nature. But normally they also are global, universal, and international in all of their doings, but they must be given direction. So you, as a parent, have obligations as to how you shape or don't shape your child. Now, if you don't pay no attention to your child, you're not going to get the results you want. But you can't sit down, and I'm not trying to knock nobody, but I've heard some parents listening that, I'm going to smoke a blunt with my kid. And then you want them to, then when you want to tell them something, they're going to not take you seriously. So I'm just saying that if you want to bring the best out of your child, a lot of it will depend upon your actions or inactions. And children will go by example. They do that. They can't help it because you're the only role model that they have coming out the gate. So it's what you do or don't do that will shape it. And look at yourself when you were a child. Look at yourself now as an adult. What led you to what you're doing now? Did it happen when you were uh, like at 5 or 6 or 12 or 13 or whatever the case is? But normally there's somewhere in that youthfulness, you know what I'm saying, that will normally guide you to what you become an adult. So let me tell you an exception. I was telling you about children like number twos. Number two children, I call the crybabies in the group, very sensitive, very emotional. And you may say, well, my two child, they ain't that way at all. They're very assertive, they're very forceful. Well, more than likely, you need to look at the letters that repeated in the name. So if you got a name where you got about 4 or 5 ones, because one is a leadership indicator, and this is the thing you need to learn, and maybe I'll go into that in detail, how to look closely at a name. How many letters, how many numbers of the same are repeated in that name? So if you got a person with 5 or 6 ones, I read a person the other day. She just from her birthday alone, she had 5 ones. Okay, it was October the 11th of 1981. 5 ones just in that birthday. Then she had about 5 ones in her name, and she told me that her challenge has always been trying to keep a relationship because the gentlemen, the men she deal with, find a hard time kind of like working with her, but she's got too many ones. And so her problem is not a male but a man in that sense. So you got to look at the exceptions. You may say, well, my child ain't no crybaby. Well, my child's supposed to be a leader, but he's really sensitive. Well, I mean, he's got a lot of twos in the name, like the name Bobby. The name Bobby has 3 twos just from that alone, which will modify that. So it's also to keep those things in mind, but in a general way, these are it from the birthday, but then there are other things to look at too. And there are always exceptions to the rule. So I'm sure someone will tell me, well, you said this is about my child. They never have that. God bless them with health, because all of us should be in the best of health. It's very expensive to get sick in this country. Okay. You even call 911 for an ambulance. You look at the bill you're going to get and you will be shocked. It almost make you sick. So what I'm saying is, please, as parents, you are in charge of how you shape and mold your child. And how you're in charge is by your actions or inactions, your words or emptiness, your deeds or lack of deeds. These things are very, very important. All righty. So with that, I will kind of go with the phone. So if you got any questions about this, and also this is on my book, page 216. It goes into a lot more details. Page 216 of my book, Numbers in You, and you see all the children from 1 to 9, and also on my app, a Star 8 app, you'll see that at the far right icon where it says your personal profile. When you click on that, when you go down, you'll see to the left parenting, what kind of parent you make, and also to the right of it, the kind of children you may have or that you were once too. So don't forget. So when I said these about your children, think about maybe when you was a child. Were you as a 2 child very sensitive? Were you as a one child very assertive and, everybody better get out of my way and appear to be selfish? Because number one, children like to win. Number two, children like to cooperate. Number three, children like to express themselves. Number four, children like to be different. Number five, children are fast and very flexible in how they learn and quick in thought and action. Number six, children are very loving and guiding. Number seven, children are very reserved and independent in their thinking. Number eight, children are the old souls in the group. And number nine, children just don't take no stuff. Okay. So that summarizes it. So anyway, I'm going to go to the comment sections and see what we got. And I want to thank my moderator, Jazz Aphrodite today, who is always on the case. And one person says, do I do speaking engagement? Yes, on occasions. Just reach out to me. You can reach out to me through a star8 LLC@gmail.com. That's AST. Hold on. Let me do it this way. If there are any speaking engagements, reach out to me right there. A star8 LLC@gmail.com. There was a gentleman on that wanted me to get a guest on his show. Please, if you get to there, I've been a little behind in my email. I get so much junk mail now. But if you do, just right there. And yes, I do speaking engagements too. Okay, on occasion. All right, let me get back to this, the comment sections. Okay. All righty. Okay. This is, now I can't read everybody. Okay. My what you call made it clear. You can't do that. Okay. So let's do Davion Lamar. Okay. Davion Lamar. September the 28th, 1981. Now, this person is a Libra 1 person. Now, how do I do this? This is how I teach my students. First of all, everybody knows their zodiac signs, even the skeptics, even the atheists, even the non-believers. If you say, I don't believe in, you say, what's their sign? It's a Capricorn. They'll say something, but they're going to say something. Well, this person here tells me that they were always very mature since the first cycle, which is govern the month of birth, govern the formative and early years of aging, has always been very old, very mature. Since it's a 9, it indicates a fighter coming up. And then if I look at the middle number, which is a 1, it also indicates leadership. But the birthday does suggest you have to be very careful who you put your trust in, who you seek advice from, and how you put your name on the dotted line, since 28 is called the number of contradiction, or in other words, the divorce number. And when people see the 28, they think it means divorce by going down the aisle. No, it's divorce from you and your money, you and your paper, you and your bag, or whatever they call this thing nowadays, all right? And so what you want to do is make sure that, for example, let's say there was somebody you liked in the school and you told your main person to go put in a word for you. Well, they go over there and talk, don't even bring your name up in the conversation. So again, because you're honest, you can't always expect everybody in return to be honest. And so you're going into a year that's a 9 that represents a cycle of completions and endings and terminations. Right now, you're in an 8 personal year, which means you've done a lot of growing up, reconnected with your past and things like that. And your key numbers are the 1, 4, and 9, while Tuesdays and Thursdays, Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays are your best days. Those are the fire days, okay? Good. So here we have Meryl, and she is an Aquarius. So she's an air sign with a fire number, okay? So that probably tells me as a child, she was the kind of person who was very popular. 3 children, 3 people, they'll be at a funeral with a grin on their face. And he'd be trying to figure out, why are you grinning at this funeral? It's not that they're trying to grin because it's funny. 3 people just exuberance. They just bubbly. They just always, that's part of their personality. They just like to smile. They like to be, 3s and 5s are very similar. They got great people skills. They are very personable. They're very charming. They get along very well with people in general, except when 3s and 5s get together and they both have a bad day at the same time. That's not good. But basically, they're pretty much the same. So it tells me, Meryl, you're very Marie, excuse me, because I see those eyes in it. Now, see, here's the point. Now, when I'm looking at Marie's name under the Chaldean, says she's got 3 1s. Now, 3 is very career-oriented, career-driven. She's got 3 1s, which just adds to it. Not only that, but she's born in the first month as well. So that tells me she probably was out on her own between her 19th and 22nd birthday, give or take on either side of those equations. And so therefore, she's always had ambition. And as I said in one episode I did, that number 3 people don't like to do bums. So if she's dealing with somebody, they got to have something on the ball. That's normally a trademark with number 3 men and women. They don't just say, this is Marie. This is Marie, the supervisor of so-and-so and so-and-so. This is John, the vice president of so-and-so and so-and-so. They like to throw that name and that title up in there. That's a 3 trait. Not all 3s, okay, but most 3s, if you notice, they'll do that. Okay. It tells me this year has been a year where you've been in a transition, but next year is going to be a year where you begin to expand. The fact that the cycle will be in a 3 personal year that brings out the best in you, and 3 is ruled by Jupiter, the good luck planet, prosperity, lady luck, abundance, games of chance, personalities, all kinds of things like that. You're in for a great year, my Aquarian lady. Okay. That's all I can say. Let me go to the other end of the spectrum. And this is Sherilyn Graver. She is born June the 25th of 1961. So that tells me as a child, she was probably super sensitive. That's a sign of Cancer, and very reserved and liked to be her own best company, which was one of the things. It also tells me as coming up as a young child, she was probably accused incorrectly by other girls of like, who do you think you are? And don't be attractive too either, Sherilyn, okay? Because that really didn't help your situation. And notice, I see she has 4 2s in her name. Just looking at Sherilyn off the top, and I'm just, she's got 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't forget, every time a number repeats itself, it just intensifies or make it more concentrated. Okay, so with her being a Cancer, and it also tells me she probably has a very, very sensitive stomach, extremely selective about what she eat. And no, you can't take her out to Mickey D's on the first date and think you're going to get away with a second date with her. No, you need to take her to a Class A restaurant with some ambiance and atmosphere and great food. And you know what I'm saying? Then you got a good chance. And very, very picky too. That is her nature, but she's got too many 2s not to be. And cleanliness is next to godliness with 2 people. And they got a lot of 2s. You got to come clean, man. You can't be sitting on the edge of the bed and you about to take off your socks, getting in there and stuff is flying. You got to get your butt in the shower before you get up in there. That's how they roll. Okay. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. That makes me think of King Simon. That's my buddy. Okay. Oh, so Carmen, thanks for the donation. She is an Aries 4 person. So that tells me as a child, she was probably misunderstood, hard to get to know. Somewhat like a 7, think that she was better than it. Wasn't that at all. She, 4s and 7 children who become 4s and 7 adults have this tendency about liking to be their own best company. You can't be knocking on the door because you're in the neighborhood and think, well, let me go hang out. You will get your feelings hurt. Only Amazon can do that. FedEx can do that. United Parcels can do that. But basically, for you just knocking on the door to knock on the door because you ain't got nothing to do, think you're going to hang out, you will get your feelings hurt like no response at the door. So anyway, it tells me she's very sensitive, easily wounded in her feelings, but she's an Aries. So she is that type where she's an air sign a fire sign with an air number. So that means the 9 portion, which is Aries, is feisty, assertive, proactive, intense, go after what they want. And yet the birthday indicates you would prefer to really do it alone. She don't need too many people to roll with her. So you know how like sometimes girls have their girlfriends and they all go flocking to somewhere, the Caribbean and whatnot. She'll go by herself with no problems at all. Not a problem. And if you look at her birthday, she has 3 1s in her name, which indicates that would only add feistiness. She's got actually 1s, 3s, and 9s are fire numbers. So she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And she's a fire sign too. I would not play with the sister. In other words, whoever you're dealing with, I ain't trying to talk bad in that way. Common, it's not bad anyway. But I'm saying that if you will have challenges in relationships at times, because it's probably because of all those ones, all those fire elements, which means talk is cheap. What are we going to do? And so when you call people out on it, and then you like to think outside the box, which is why I call four the number of secret enemies, because they always tend to be contrary, or they always like to do things different. This has been this way since a child, even into your adulthood. If everybody does it this way, more than likely you do it that way. Okay. So your numbers again are the 4, 1, and 9, and your best days are always on a Sunday and a Tuesday. All righty. This person here, Androcal, their life path is a 5, and they're born 2/2/1990. So that means you're an Aquarius 2 person, air sign with a water number. And I'm looking at your name. You got 2 water numbers, which are the 2s, and you got 3 fire numbers. So that tells me from your birthday alone, you'll be in a state of flux. There'll be sometimes when you're assertive, you ain't taking no prisoners, and there'll be sometimes you'll be wavering and you're not sure. But it indicates you're more decisive than non-decisive. And 2s are very psychic. As I said, probably as a child, you were very sensitive, had a sensitive stomach, because even as adults, number 2, women and men are very picky and selective about what they eat, where they eat, how does it smell, how does it look. It's got to have eye appeal. I've had a guest on that says a lot of people eat with their eyes, and I guess that's why you go into a store and you'll notice that at that store, the what you about to get in the package don't look like that picture you just saw, that where it's all like juicy and whatnot like that. But that's because people do eat with their eyes, from what I'm told. This particular year for you has been a year where you have been in a state of transition. You have been in a 2 personal year, and things are about to open up where you're about to see what we call the fruits of your labors and things like that. But it also indicates you're very, very sensitive. And 2s, by the way, love to dance. 2 children, if you see them, they love to dance. As soon as the music turns on, or 9 children, they just get right to it. Okay. That is one of the things. But anyway, your key numbers are 4 of them, which is the 2, 7, 4, and 1. All righty. And let me say hi to Charlene Adams, because her birthday is tomorrow, so we'll be one of the first. So it tells me that this person, when she was a child, was always decisive, may have thought about being a lawyer or a doctor or a scientist or entrepreneur, head of the company, or entrepreneur in and of itself. I think I repeated that. But the point is, number 1s, as children and as adults, they like to go where no person has gone before. They like to kind of like break new ground. They're futuristics in their thinking and doing and actions. They tend to be very innovative and pioneering and very unique in their way, somewhat like 4s. And that's why 1s and 4s are very talented. So this particular year for you has been a 9 cycle year coming up tomorrow, from what some people will say, or an 8 personal year. But I would say next year is going to be a year where the 1 starts, where now you start fresh, now you start all over again. And so this will set the tone of what you wish to do. This is what I see for Charlene Adams. All righty, so let me go back a bit. Okay. And I got to thank my regulars, like I always do with Jazz, Steve and Carol Williams in Chicago, things like that. Oh, and by the way, she made a donation too, and thank you very, very much for that, young lady. I saw you do that, so thank you. I hope that was helpful too. This person here wants a reading. I got about 10 more minutes. This person is now. People will ask me about zeros. Okay, how important are zeros? People say 0 is nothing. That's not true. Did you know the whole computer system is predicated upon 1s and 0s? That's how it's programmed. Imagine just those 2 numbers in this program with 1s and 0s. Ask a computer tech, they will tell you. Okay. I tell people if zeros don't count, I'm going to put a 1, and then I'm going to put a comma, and I'm going to put as many zeros behind it as I can. You tell me which one you'll take. The more zeros behind that 1, the more you'll take it. Okay. So 1s have great power. Now, there's things that they says 1 is probably associated with Saturn, or the 0 effect. In Chinese astrology or whatnot, they might say this is the ether or whatever, but it represents things that no matter whether you add or subtract from it, like a 9, it will be the same. So, if you say 5 - 0, that's going to be a 5. Well, 5 + 0 is 5. So it's the five zeros and nines tend to do that to a degree. All righty. But it indicates, though, you are a fire sign with an air number, born in the year of sensitivity. But also indicates that your destiny, life path, or grade you in the school of life is a 6. And it also indicates that you're a blend of fire and air, which is perfect for you, that you've always been an old soul because the month you're born governs your formative years, your childhood years. That should give you a clue. What month were you born in? That in and of itself will help. So since you were born Edgex, I hope I'm saying it right, or Edgex Finance, since you were born in August, that's an 8. So 8 is one of those what I call maturity numbers. They come out the gate old. Their reason goes beyond just what it is during their childhood, always exhibiting very mature nature. But also I'm looking at the 5, which means very quick in thought and actions, like a lot of movement and motion, things like that. And that's what I see. Your key numbers, by the way, are the 5, 1, and 4, which means Wednesday and Sunday, and on the minor way Monday are your best days. Okay. So that's it. Let me go back. Bonetta Sutton says, this is true. My stepdaughter's a 1022. She's got a birthday coming up. She is very strange, but she's smart. That's what I'm telling you. Fours are geniuses, but in their own special way. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say if you took them to person, the IQ expert, they will tell you that this child is very, very bright. And she says she's smart as a whip, but very strange and has some mental issues because 4 rules the mental faculties. Okay. This is why I tell 4s that they should not watch too much TV. That's my suggestion. Of course, the TV industry would have a problem with that, but I'm not dealing with the TV industry. I'm dealing with my Live with Lloyd family to understand that if you got a 4 child, how to manage and raise your 4 child properly so they have the right mindset and don't add confusion. And if they are different, that is a part of who they are. As Shakespeare once says, to thine own self be true. So that's the deal. You cannot be somebody else. You got to be who you are. We might wish to be somebody else, but the real time is you can't. Okay. And so that's it. And that's interesting. Okay. So that's your daughter. But by the way, she is going to be in a 4 personal year. So not only is she born on the 22nd and 2 + 2 is 4, she is about to enter her 4th cycle year. So this will only emphasize her 4 characteristic, her need to be different. But see, 4, I call the number of secret enemies because of jealousy, envy, insecurity, but they like to think outside the box. They're just futuristic. They can't help it. Again, we are so busy trying to be somebody else that we're not looking at what makes us special. All of you, there's not a single person in this viewingship that's not special. You cannot tell me this. My key and my attitude is what you do or don't do with your specialness. God left nobody out, not one of you. He all gave you gray matter. It's how we teach ourselves, it's how we feel about ourselves. And right now, this world, there seems to be a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion, a lot of drama to keep you in that state of mix. I'm saying that you need to back up a second, take a look at yourself, examine your childhood. And for those adults who still got their parents living, or uncles or grandparents or whatnot, try to find out as much as you can while they're still living what kind of child you were. That will give you a clue or a hint as to be the adult you probably became. Okay, so this is what I'm saying, but we don't like to do that no more. We feel that, well, they old and this, that, and the other. Listen, we all have a thing about us that we grew up with. Try to get to those elders, try to get to those parents to find out what kind of person was. And especially the older they are, they got memories, when you was in your diapers and all that stuff, but it will listen carefully because it will give you a clue to say, now I see what I do. Because I've never liked people coming to my house. But until I remember my mother said when I was a child in elementary school, I bring friends home and go play by myself. And see, with kids, they don't know about manners. They don't know about etiquette. They don't even know how to spell the word. Okay. So my thing is to try to get as much information. What kind of child were you? They said, girl, you was something else. Man, you was something else. Boy, you know what I'm saying? And those things will give you a clue. When I read Smokey Robinson, his autobiography, he had clues that led to his musical development. You know what I'm saying? When you read about great men and women, there's always a something almost without exception that happens in your childhood that projects what you become in your adulthood. So what I'm saying is, because we adults, just go back, try to go back in time by way of elders, aunts, uncles, parents, nephews, whatever the case is, and try to help them recall. And they'll tell some stories that you've long forgot that has probably shaped the way you are today. So that's all I'm saying. And to do that. Okay. Let me continue. Um, so I did Davion. Okay. Let me do um, Stoked Culture. Um, they are Gemini, excuse me, they are Sagittarius coming up next month on the 25th. So they're fire and water. And I'm looking at the fact that they have four fire numbers. No, they've got five fire numbers. One, two, three, four, five fire numbers. They've got one water number, an air number, and an earth number. What I've learned how to do is look to see what numbers are making up your birthday. Are they fire numbers? Now, the fire numbers are these. All numbers that are ones, threes, and nines are your fire numbers. All numbers that are twos and sevens are your water numbers. All numbers that are the six and the eight are your earth numbers. And the four and the five are your air numbers. And once you know that, you want to see what's running through your birthday. So, for example, if a person's born February the 22nd, 2022. There's nothing but twos running through that birthday. And I know somebody was born on that day. I mean, I don't know them personally, but I know that if when that day came around last year on February the 20th of 2022, whoever that person is, that child, those individuals born on that day are going to be super sensitive, super psychic, super intuitive, and super finicky about their eating habits and dietary laws. So let's say I met somebody born January the 11th of 1911. Well, every single number through there are fine numbers. So if I was to go back and look at people born on that day and in that year, a lot of them were probably leaders. And see, the point is, if you don't reach these potentials, then it could be negative. The person was very dominant or mean or controlling, because just as there are positives to numbers, there are also negatives and challenges to numbers as well. And so these are the things to understand. So anyway, I just thought this was very interesting, because again, I really had a wonderful time with my grandnephews, nieces rather, this weekend. And I said, let me do something on children. And the parents, my brother's son, Khalil, and his wife, Vanessa, if you meet them, you will understand why their children are so beautiful and loving and huggable as ever. I mean, you as a parent have the ability to shape your child. Get them while they're young. No, we want to, it's cute at first, you get a lot of attention because the baby's young and drooling, and you get the little baby sneakers and all these little diapers and stuff like that. But they're going to become adults one day. And so it's a matter of how you do things in front of them. If you curse in front of them, that's exactly how they're going to think the world goes round. If you're in a relationship and you tolerate abuse, they're going to think that's exactly how their world is going to go down. So you, as a parent, has the responsibility, whether a single mother, a single father, or is a collective as a mom and a dad, okay? That you have a responsibility of how you shape your children. And maybe this is why we see all the confusion out here, with the nonsense out here, the lack of respect out here. I'm just saying, a lot of it starts in our childhood. A lot of it starts with you as an adult. And because I've learned that because a woman has a child doesn't make her a mother, and because a guy makes a child doesn't make him a father. That I've learned. And so what you want to do is be the best you can. If you're going to be a parent, do your job. Handle your business. Make sure you guide your child. You never know what your child might become. You never know. You never know. But if you abuse your child, neglect your child, traumatize your child, that's exactly what you're going to get. So this is why I'm curious sometimes when I read about children that killed their parents and whatnot. What was up with that? What was up with that? So what I'm saying is you got to, there is a tremendous responsibility being a parent. That's all I'm going to say. And I'll leave it at that. I'm going to take 2 more calls and I'm out. Okay. I'm going to do Vanetta Sutton. Um, she is, her birthday is coming up next month on the 5th. She is a Scorpio 5 person with a water number. I mean, a water sign with a air number. And so it means that this particular year for her has been a year of the 5, a 5 personal year. Some will say she's still in the 4 personal year to November the 5th, which means next year she'll be in a 6 personal year, which the other schools have thought she'll be in a 5 personal year. But either way, 5 and 6s are very friendly to her since her key numbers are the 5, 9, and 6. So it tells me that the next 2 years moving forward, Bonetta, is going to be like very good. You know what I'm saying? So take full advantage of it, please. All right. Um, and for my man Stephen E, how you doing, buddy? Thank you, and thank all of you for supporting. And like Steve Williams said, y'all got to hit that like button. I mean, um, some donate. I think that's nice, but the like don't cost no money. It don't cost no money. All it does is just no, because it costs a little energy. I'm not gonna kid you not. It costs a little energy to get that finger up and push that button or whatever you'll do to get to there. Do it. Okay. All right, let's see. We got this person here, C Star. I'm going to take about 2 more after this, and we're going to wrap it up. This person is born on March the 5th at 8:49 a.m., which means your chart is in the 11th house, the house of Aquarius. That's where your sun is. Your sun is in the 11th house. You do your chart, okay? And depending on where you were born, of course. But you are a water sign with a air number. And so when I look at 5 children, you probably was a child that probably tried to walk before you were 1 years old, smart, engaging, very well-rounded, like to do a variety of things. If people look at your resume, they'll be surprised that you've done a little this, can do a little that, and done that as well. That as your energy. It also indicates too that this particular year coming up for you is going to be a year of spirituality. Right now, you're in a 6 personal year, which means focusing and getting some things done. You know what I'm saying? Trying to find out who you are, getting inside of yourself, why, examining why you do the things you do. But next year is your money year. So for all of us in the family, you would be our new best friend. That's how it's going to go with you, C Star. And so, in the meantime, though, to take advantage of what's left of this year to get what you want through the law of attraction, through visualizations, meditations, and psychic impressions and things like that. You would make an excellent writer. You would do well in business, science, commerce, communications. And as a child, you were probably a very fast learner as well. And even your birthday indicates in your last stage, because the year governs your formative years, you're going to always know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, since it adds up to 23. All righty. So your lucky numbers, by the way, are the 5, 6, and 3. I will take one more. Okay. I'm going to take Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. Okay. They are born at May 3rd of 83, and they were born in Alabama. And so theirs is in 10:48 p.m. So that means somewhere around the 5th house, probably in the 5th house. Your son's probably in the 5th house, the house that governs Leo. Anyway, but nonetheless, it indicates from your birthday you are a earth sign with a fire number, which means pragmatic on one hand, but yet fiery and proactive on the other hand. You're born in 1983, so I'm looking at 3 fire numbers, actually 4 fire numbers, because you got the 1 and the 9 and the 3s. That makes a total of 4. So that makes you more energized. So what you need to do is, I teach students, is you look at the numbers that make it up. It's like you buy something, right? You look at it to see what ingredients are put in that package. Well, Elizabeth is a package, so to speak, not a package like in a store, but symbolically, she's composed of a certain amount of cosmic energy based upon the numbers in the birthday that she's born under. You are too, every single one of you. It's a matter of discerning what these numbers are so you can take full advantage of it. So it tells me your key numbers would be the 5, 6, and 9, which means you have creative and artistic talents. Born on the 5th month, it tells me you probably walked before you were 1 years old, Elizabeth. And so this is what I see. And so this year coming up is, well, this year in and of itself has been a year that has brought about some change in relationships because you've been in a 6 personal year. And so now you're about to enter into a 7 phase for next year. So I'm going to take this last person, and this is a case in point of Karma K. Ashani, born October the 19th, 1993. Now, that's to me is not just an average birthday. Yes, she's a Libra. I know you all got that. Yes, she's born on the 19th. But look at the numbers. Every single number, with the exception of a 0, are fire numbers. So that tells me that if karma is motivated to do great things, motivated for high achievement, motivated for high recognition, motivated in the way of relationships, that men will take it that she is a little too forceful for me. She is being as true to herself as you want to be true to yourself. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot want somebody to be something you're not. You can't. And a lot of times I think this is why relationships, and I'm going to be starting a relationship show too. I think I've got the date for it. I think I've got the name for it. And so right now I'm formulating everything in my head, but it won't be on Mondays and Wednesdays. That's for the Live with Lloyd family. This will be strictly for relationships. Okay. And so anyway, so it just tells me, karma, that you, and especially this year, you've been in a 9-cycle year, okay? Or will be on the 19th, according to some, which means you're still in the 8 personal year. But my thing is you're in a 9 personal year, and you will be entering a 1-cycle year for next year, which means you're now ready to go. You're ready to jumpstart your life. You're ready to do something new, totally new. And with all those ones, it tells me you probably wear glasses, or recommended that you wear glasses because you have sensitive eyes, especially more to the left eye than the right eye. But I'm also looking at the fact with all those fiery numbers, sometimes you got to slow it down a little bit and hit the brakes, okay? Your key numbers, by the way, since you're asking, are the 1, the 4, and the 9. And out of those key numbers, 2 of them are fire numbers, okay? So I want to thank everybody for joining me today. That was a lot of fun. And Carmen, thank you very much. Okay. And so look at your birthdays. Look to see, do you have a lot of water numbers running to your birthday, a lot of fire numbers, air numbers, earth numbers, and that'll give you a clue as to what's shaping your birthday along your journey on this course of life. Okay. But basically, if you got living parents, living relatives, especially the older the better, the grandmas have been knowing you since you was in your diapers, that you watched it, had to probably put you over your knee and tap that butt every now and then. They will tell you what kind of child you were. They will probably give you a clue as to what kind of adult you became. All righty, it's just that simple. I know it's incredibly simple. Sometimes the most beautiful things are incredibly, incredibly simple. But I want to thank King Simon for sponsoring today's show. Today and tomorrow, there is a discount. Now, if you wait till after the 11th, you're going to get your feelings hurt. You're going to have to pay full price. Okay. So why don't you save yourself some money? And the price for the course is ridiculously inexpensive. Ridiculously inexpensive. I'm just telling you. So go to Linktree, King Simon, the Numerology, and enroll for his master class. He is definitely a master. When we was in New Orleans with Jazz Aphrodite, Aquarius, Nina Diamond, and myself, the brother is just brilliant. All of them are brilliant. All of them are brilliant. I am very blessed to be in great, great company. All righty. So he is sponsoring the show. I do want to let you know that my newsletter is available. I saw it say on sale. It's not. It's free. Just go to either Linktree/Numbers in You or Lloyd-Strayhorn. Okay. And for those of you, I would say we're over about 90, close to 95% complete in terms of working out all the bugs and the kinks. Some of the earlier comments was when it was in the beta stage and testing. So I understand that satisfaction. But if you give it a chance to go back, I think you'll be very pleased and very surprised with the updates that a Star 8 has done, and to master yourself. Because if you don't master yourself, I don't know how we do it. It is available on both Android and Play Store. You can also get it right there at astar8.com. And also any concerns you have about the app itself, address it to a star8llc at Gmail. That's a star8llc at Gmail. This way I send it directly to the developer. I try to sometimes articulate what you tell me, but it's much better if I send it directly to them because they understand the language and they resolve it. And I have had people say how quick they got back. So I'm very pleased with that. And for those who are TikTok lovers, I'm on TikTok. Go there under Numbers and You, and you'll see some of the reels that I do on these shows have been spliced and diced, so to speak. And for those that do want to learn numerology for beginners on the TikTok, just go there. It's Astronumerology for Beginners already on that show. So I want to thank everybody. And by the way, I do have an audiobook, My Numbers and You, that you can get. And my audiobook also talks about the children and the parenting and things like that. And one last thing is you can always, for those who want to just hear the show and not sit and see it, you can walk around vacuuming, walk around in bed, drive around and whatnot, and listen to the podcast. Okay. So that this the audiobook, the online course on TikTok itself under the name Numbers and You. And thank you for those who have subscribed to and downloaded the Star 8 app. I'm really, really appreciative. And for those of you who haven't gotten the newsletter, it is absolutely free. Okay. No, I don't sell your mailing list. I don't play that. No, I don't do that. I take it that if you confide in me enough in that, I'm going to take it personal. Now everybody want to sell your information. I'm not down with none of that. So if you got any reservation, I'm here to tell you to your face, Lloyd Strayhorn don't do that. Okay. So anyway, I want to thank everybody. This has been great. All have a nice day. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of days. And always, I must thank my guest, my wonderful, wonderful moderator, Jazz Aphrodite. She don't play. That's my girl. You know what I'm saying? And Empress Rel takes over Wednesdays and help out too. So everybody have a nice day. And again, you take care of your health, because if not, who will? It better be you. Have a nice day.